About to talk about one of my favorite people who I'm not feeling that good about right now. And of course, he's not feeling that good right now. That's why I don't feel good about him. And his name is Kawhi Leonard. Oh my God, you know how pumped I was for the Los Angeles Clippers when they got Kawhi Leonard and teamed him up with Paul George. Now I'm looking at that situation like that's contention, if not a championship, right? Just be on the court. This is Paul George. Remember OKC days with Paul George? Acting a fool out there in terms of all around the Indy days. You go back, even the injury, he responded from that. And then Kawhi Leonard, San Antonio Spurs, Toronto 1 year there. Okay, guess what I'm going to do? Just win a championship for y'all. Oh, y'all never won a championship. That's what Kawhi does. Quiet assassin, always ready for the moment. But since he's got to the Clippers, let's not lie about it. Man, he has not been available. And what's the greatest ability? Availability. And we don't have that right now. So I'm looking at Kawhi Leonard like, what the hell? How has this happened? Let's talk about the story first. So we saw him miss game 3, and obviously the Clippers undermanned, even though they fought. They tried their damnedest. Came up short, losing that game by 5. But let's talk about the 2-time finals MVP who missed all of last season following his knee surgery, and then he had this recovery plan, and it was real careful, the load management. We get it. See Kawhi, wouldn't see Kawhi on the back-to-back. See Kawhi, wouldn't see Kawhi for a while. Okay, it was all good because it was coming together perfectly later in the season, and for the playoffs, let's go. Now, they eased him into it, and all that was looking good, and then we saw him finally in game 1, and he looked like the best player on the court, and that includes Kevin Durant, includes Devin Booker, right? It was Kawhi Leonard. Drop 38, Clippers go out there, and they surprise cats, and they win game 1. We pumped. Woo! Now, all of a sudden, we're like in game 2. Okay, we lose that game, but we're coming home with home court, split series. All right, you take it. You don't want to say that, but you'll take it in response, and you come back to L.A. Then the conversation started. I was hearing the rumblings. I didn't want to believe him. I didn't want to feed him. I didn't want to give that energy that, hey, Kawhi hurt himself. And I was like, really? Didn't look like he was hurt. They was like, no, he hurt himself in game 1 and played through it in game 2. And then it swelled up, shoot around game 3, morning of. They were like, dog, can't do it, can't risk it. Now, here's the thing. You got a knee sprain. And a knee sprain is the same reason why Paul George is ruled out for the entire series. So I'm hoping we're not going to be literal about this and say knee sprain for Kawhi is the same knee sprain for Paul George. That means we ain't going to see Kawhi again. But maybe it was just knee irritation because it happened in game 1. He still was able to play through it, and I've been there before. Let's talk about that. How this team is now prepared, unfortunately, to go out there without Kawhi Leonard, without Paul George. You saw Russell Westbrook trying to do his part. You saw the team and Norman Powell trying to do his part. Point being, they were deflated. Ty Lue even talked about it. Ty Lue said, yo, I mean, be real. You without your 1 and your 2 and your 3 just got here. Whatever you want to say about Russell Westbrook, it was just too tall a task going against a team that some were saying should come out the West in the Phoenix Suns. So I'm looking at it like, man, what the hell does this remind me of? And I think Kevin Durant gave it the best context. Disappointment. Like, let's not even talk from the team perspective. Let's just talk about it from Kawhi Leonard's perspective. Y'all imagine this, and this is for real, that you are Kawhi Leonard in talent, skill, work ethic. Remember, Kawhi didn't come into the NBA as projected to be this. That dude has worked. That dude has accomplished. Kawhi is a beast, right? Especially when healthy, we see it. But then Kawhi gets robbed. And not robbing himself, like some players. Like some people out there question Anthony Davis, and they say he robs himself. Does he really work as hard? Well, that's not the conversation you have with Kawhi Leonard. You always have with Kawhi Leonard, why isn't he available? Now, some of that changed the narrative. It went from, oh, he's staying hurt, to, oh, he's actually trying to manage his pain, manage his injury. And that's when he started to lose a few of his fans, a few of his followers. But what about the robbery? Forget if you believe him or not. Just the fact that Kawhi, game 1, 38, game 2, still ball. Game 3, wakes up, knee on fire, can't play. And this is not the first time because he missed all of last season, crashing the Clippers' hopes. This is not the first time. Remember going all the way back to San Antonio, in part why he does load manage is because he got misdiagnosed not once, but twice because of injury. So now it's crazy because there is no worse feeling than you having to do something. And the only thing you need to do it, you can't even possess it, right? That's crazy. You know what it reminds me of? And I'm going to get into my story, but it reminds me of the homeboy DOC. Y'all know the DOC, the rapper? Remember he got into that car accident after his first album, classic album, and y'all like, yo, DOC not only an artist, he could write, he got flavor. Oh man, he was next level. Gets into a car accident, and the major damage happens to one area, vocal cords, right here. Only thing he needed, right, literally as a rapper, only thing he needed was to be able to speak coherently the same way, whatever you want to call it. And that's what he got robbed of. I was like, damn. That felt like intentional from the universe, for real. Like coming from a pie message. And in this situation, Kawhi is not in that space. But damn, when are we going to see the full Kawhi? I mean, he's going to have to get into that line. And there's a line of guys. Brandon Roy comes to mind, right? There's a line of guys. Greg Oden comes to mind. Where you were like, damn, we never got to see him all the way. Now, we did get glimpses of Kawhi, but not in fullness and not as a Clipper, certainly not. This is going to be his first home playoff game in 2 years and still got robbed of that. It's crazy, man, because when I've been in that position before, my deepest prayers were literally not to make it to the NFL when I was leaving Columbia. It wasn't to get drafted at a certain position. You know what it was, for real? Don't get hurt my senior year. Don't get hurt before the draft. Don't get hurt before the combines. It's literally not even how well I could play, God. Please don't get hurt. Man, to get robbed like that, that gotta hurt.